afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Alyssa Corum here and Ed Carson. And on today's show, we're going to be taking a look at three stocks with compelling charts, including Vertex, Microsoft, and Dexcom. But first, let's take a look at the major indexes. And we're actually going to look at the QQQ ETF just to show you the strength into the close that we saw. The NASDAQ finishing up about 7.3% for the day, Ed, retaking its 21-day line and even crossing over that high from March 31st that we saw. So the QQQ chart really kind of exemplifying what we saw today in the NASDAQ overall.
Yeah, and the QQQ translates for the NASDAQ 100, but this is basically what we're seeing on all the major indexes. Yeah, as you say, the 21-day line, that's the exponential moving average. That's the green line on the chart there. And getting above the previous little high there, really, that's to suggest that maybe we're moving into a positive area now. I mean, if we can stay above the 21-day moving average, sort of build on gains here. So it's really strong action. It comes as coronavirus cases seem to maybe have peaked, certainly as a percentage basis, but maybe even as on just an actual numerical level. And so that would just be, it's not the end maybe, but it's the beginning of the end. I mean, because you can see the path towards hospitalizations and deaths peaking, down the road, and then maybe opening up the economy again.
Well, a positive sign for sure, but we're still taking things day by day.
Absolutely.
And let's take a look at a few individual names, starting off with Vertex, which was our stock of the day today, Ed, with a powerful breakout here and closing at session highs, up over 7% for the day, and a nice looking relative strength line.
Yeah, the relative strength line, that's the blue line below. That one has just been going almost straight up for the past 2 months or so. That shows how the stock has been performing versus the S&P 500. The stock fell during the market crash, but for Vertex, it looked more like a correction. Didn't look like this vertical complete drop. It looked a little more normal. It's come very powerfully here, moving through. It backed off intraday, but then really powered higher at the close. Strong volume. This is definitely really nice. It was an IBD stock of the day. I believe we added it to leaderboard shortly before the close. Just really strong action.
Yeah, and it's still in that 5% buy range, closing above about 2% above that pivot there at 249.95. And make sure you check out our stock of the day article at investors.com for all the details. And next, let's take a look at Microsoft, because we did see this long-term leader retaking a key technical level here, and also this relative strength line hitting highs well before the stock hits new price highs.
Yeah, it is interesting. And this is one reason why you want to keep an eye on that RS line, because to really see which ones are leading in a correction. I mean, Vertex is easy enough. It's hitting new highs, but Microsoft was not. But, it's basically clearing this 50-day line, and where it sort of peaked out on March 31st, you could sort of call this sort of quasi handle. It was too short and it was too low in the base, but one could argue that this would be an early entry because the actual buy point is 190.80. You could probably treat this as an early entry. It's a long-term leader. You could argue that this is a good place to enter a long-term leader anyway, in this situation with the market turning higher. So there's a lot to like with this one. Cloud performance is doing well during this time, and it should continue to do well.
All right. Well, aggressive investors should definitely take note of that alternate entry there, and those looking for a place to add a long-term leader to their portfolios, and potentially seeing an early entry take shape for Dexcom here. It is working on the right side of a base, about 12% below a traditional buy point right now.
Yeah, and Dexcom didn't blast out like some of the others, but it's been acting really well. The RS line is right at highs. The stock has formed a little handle here because it's like a lot of these cup bases, they're really more vase bases. I mean, they're not really full-on cups. This is, you wouldn't want to be drinking out of a cup like that. But, so hopefully it's not such a bad thing if, we set up over time. This could easily break out over the next several days. Don't need to force the issue. but it held above its 50-day line. This is doing better than a lot of other stocks, even a lot of leading stocks like Microsoft, which hadn't been holding the 50-day, hadn't even gotten over it really until today. So this one could easily break out in the coming days. Definitely want to be looking for stocks like this that are forming handles. That's a legitimate entry. That was formed in that handle buy point, just a few days ago. So that is definitely, there's a lot of stocks that'll be coming to the fore in the next coming days and weeks if this market continues to do well.
Yeah, those handles definitely provide compelling entries. And you can be sure that the discussion will continue tomorrow morning on IBD Live, where we will update you on the stocks that are making the top of our watch list, as well as our ready list, and a continuation of analyzing these current market conditions, which we saw a very interesting technical signal today in the market. So that'll definitely be discussed tomorrow morning, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching today, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.